girls, today we are going to move through a short and sweet hip opening yoga flow and stretch. We aren't here for a long time, which means we're not going to do any crazy shapes or transitions. The intention is really just to feel good, open up and create some space in one of our tightest areas of the body, the hips. So to get started, if you have a yoga mat and some yoga blocks, awesome, grab them out. If you don't, I'd recommend doing it on carpet so that you don't hurt your knees. And if you have some books laying around, they can act as blocks instead. But realistically, all you really need is yourself. So let's get started. We'll start in a child's pose here. So with your knees nice and wide, start to reach your arms forward, sinking your glutes back towards your heels and maybe your chest and forehead down towards your mat. Let's open our practice with 3 big breaths. So as you breathe in, fill up your belly, your ribs, your chest, and then open your mouth, let it go. And again, big breath in, fill up. Open mouth, sigh it out. One more, the biggest one yet. Let it go. Slowly walk your fingertips back towards you. Meet me in tabletop position, all fours. As your wrists come underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Big breath in, find your cow pose. Drop your belly, lift your gaze. Breath out, angry cat. Tuck your tailbone under, shift your gaze between your thighs. Take 2 more just like this. Feel that opening through your spine, the flexion and the extension. And then coming back through center, neutral spine, fingertips nice and wide, gaze between your thumbs, neck is nice and long. Tuck your toes, hover your knees a couple of centimeters off the mat, engage through your belly, take a full breath in. Now as you breathe out, downward facing dog. So in your down dog, bend one knee and then the next. Let's start to wake up our hamstrings. Think about a nice straight spine here. So bend your knees as much as you need. Press your chest towards your thighs. Take a full breath in and out. 3-legged dog. Right leg lifts up towards the sky. Squeeze your right glute. Right knee, right elbow. Tap it high and tight. And then step outside your right hand. Drop your knee down. So in your lizard lunge, both of your hands are inside your right foot. Draw your hips down towards your mat as you open up through your chest. If you have a block or a book here, you might use these for a little bit of support so you find some more space through your hips. Now you have the option to stay here or take it into a winged lizard. So I'll turn, that way you can see me. If you're coming in for a winged lizard, come onto the outer blade of your right foot and peel your knee open slightly. Now, option to stay here or left palm plants. Right arm reaches up towards the sky, finding a twist. This feels really delicious on your spine. Option to stay here or start to curl your back foot in, sending your left heel towards your glute. Maybe you catch a bind for the top of your foot. So this will add in a little more stretch through your left hip flexor, the front of your thigh. Take a full breath in. As you breathe out, lower your foot down. Push your hips back, half split. Coming onto the ball of your front foot. Again, block may come handy here. I want you to think cow pose. Lengthen through your spine. Big breath in. Flex your toes towards your face. Breath out, pause. Find a little more space. Removing any blocks off to the side. Come forward for your lizard. This time, lift your back knee up. Inhale. Malasana Yogi Squat. Exhale, send your hips low. Option to grab a block here underneath your sit bones for support. Otherwise, if you want a little more, start to knock your knees in towards the midline. So it's pretty early, but if it feels good on your hips to do that here, go for it. Remember, the purpose of yoga is to create space and feel good. We ain't doing CrossFit right now, right? Let this feel nice. Take a full breath in. As you breathe out this time, send your hips to the sky, remove any blocks. Halfway lift, flat back, round and curl. This time, step your right leg back for lizard lunge. Over on the other side, lower your back knee down. Chest and hips draw forward. So find your adventure here on this side. Option for a winged lizard, opening up through the left hip. Maybe finding that twist wherever you are. Maybe drawing that heel in towards your booty and open through the chest. Take a full breath in. And as you breathe out, lower your bind, send your hips back. Half Hanama, half split. Inhale. Find a little more space. Exhale. Release, come forward, lift your back knee. Malasana Yogi Squat, step it up. This time, sink your hips low, left palm plants. Inhale, right hand reaches up. Breath out, lower it back down. Inhale, left arm reaches up. Breath out, lower it back down. Take a full breath in. Send your hips to the sky, breathe out. Let's move through that sequence a little more quickly this time. True breath to movement. Listen for the changes. Halfway lift, round and curl. Step your left foot back for your lizard lunge. Drop your back knee. As you breathe in, hips draw forward, chest proud. Breath out, half split. Send your hips back. Inhale, come forward, lift your back knee. Malasana Yogi Squat, step it up. Take a big breath in. Breath out, hips to the sky. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Round and curl. Right foot steps back. Lower your back knee, lizard lunge. Inhale, chest proud. Breath out, hips back. Breathe in, come forward, lift your back knee for lizard. Malasana Yogi Squat, step it up. Take a full breath in. As you breathe out, hips high to the sky. Halfway lift, round and curl. Plant your palms, step it back to your plank pose, shoulders over your wrists. Option to lower your knees down to the mat, lower your chest all the way down. Take a full breath in for your cobra. Glide your chest through, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Take a nice big breath in and then let it go. Nice. Drop your knees down. So that's a short little dynamic sequence to open up your hips. And now we'll finish off with one static movement, which is frog pose. So we're getting our bang for our buck right now. Frog pose is probably the most intense hip stretch for most people, including me. So make sure you go easy. We haven't spent too much time warming up, but frog pose is something that you can work towards every single night. So setting up for your frog pose, start to send your hips or your knees nice and wide. If it feels okay for you, your shins will remain parallel like this. So my feet and my hip and my knee are in line with one another, and I'm going to sink my hips down as much as I can. Now, if you want a little more, you can come down onto your forearms, but just note we're going to be here for around 90 seconds. So choose your adventure. If you want a little more support, if this just doesn't feel good for you in any way, shape or form, then you can always bring your toes together for a tadpole. So it's a little bit more like child's pose. But we want to make sure that your knees remain in line with your hips. So what I often see people do in frog is they're like, I can't feel this pose. It's like, push your hips back in line with your knees. So set up for your frog pose here. We've got 90 seconds on the clock to finish off. And we're going to breathe through it together. 90 seconds starts in 3, 2, 1. So settle in. Now static stretches, I'm going to talk to distract you from the sensation right now. So that might help. So I think it's really important to have a mixture of dynamic stretching and static stretching. So dynamic is what we did for the first 8 or so minutes, moving through a flow. And then your static stretching is when you literally stay static and be still. When we come into dynamic stretching, we're working through things like mobility. So that's really important to stay strong in our muscles and our joints. But when we come into more of these static stretches, we're able to target the deeper connective tissue that wraps around our muscles. So if you think about like all of your muscles, your joints, they're all wrapped in like this blanket of connective tissue, and that gets tight too. And the only way to relieve tension that deep in the body is to hold for time. This is why yin classes are particularly delicious and helpful for your body. So now that I've distracted you, guess what? You only have around 20 seconds left. I'm going to stop talking because I want you to come back to your breath. Make sure you're breathing here, taking your time as you fill up and slowing down as you breathe out. You've got 3 more seconds. 2, 1. Slowly come out of your pose. Bring your toes together. Oh, frog pose. Oh my goodness. It hurts, but it's so good for us. So, I hope you enjoyed that short little hip opening sequence. I definitely recommend doing it 2 to 3 times this week if you want to get the most bang for your buck. It doesn't take long to start to feel a difference in your body. So stick with it, trust the process, and I will see you next time.